Hello, I'm in the icy streets of Georgetown, Washington, D.C., and I've got a lovely driver, and I'm with my wife, and I would be rather nowhere but on the show with you. There's nothing at all going on here in the States, however, as you can imagine.
Yes, it sounds like it's a very dramatic week, actually. What has caught your attention this week, JCV?
Well, I mean, you cannot deny the crisis that is going on in Los Angeles County, in Pasadena, and out in California. It's dreadful. I mean, this fires is bigger than the size of London, and it's not going away very quickly. And the winds out there are dreadful. And we've got, talk about climate change. We've got such dry weather and such dry trees and brush that it's really devastating. But the other thing, if you're more in a political bent, Donald Trump was sentenced today in a court. He didn't show up, but he was sentenced by the judge Mersham virtually, and he will be sworn in as president of the United States, but he'll be the first president ever to be an indicted president who's an indicted felon with, I think, 34 counts, and they just, he's denying it, of course. I did nothing wrong, but that's not what the jury thought. And Judge Mersham was quite straightforward with it. He said, because of your position, I can't give you any, jail time, but this is what I can do, and I'm doing it. And you should be. He's definitely has been chided, and he's definitely looking like somebody who's. I mean, this country we're going on. It would be 250 years since we separated from our lovely Brits, and I will say that this has never happened before.
It hasn't, and a lot of things have never happened before, really, and this is even before he's actually become president.
That's correct.
And some of the names, and Elon Musk's behaviour and all of that, a little bit of me is thinking that we should just sort of sit back and be wryly amused by this and not take it too seriously, because a lot of this, surely, Canada becoming part of America, buying Greenland and so on, a lot of this is just nonsense, isn't it?
Well, I always remember the famous quote from John F. Kennedy from his inaugural address, which I saw in '61, where he said, "Those who are foolishly enough, who ride the back of the tiger, ended up inside." And I think this Musk play with Trump, where we don't know who's the boss. I mean, they're calling Musk the new president, and Biden as his little girl, or as Trump as his, Joe, as Trump as his little coquette, I mean, the press really is going crazy. And, I've got to say that Musk is getting a little bit big for his britches, involving himself in the British elections. I mean, this is outrageous. And I think...
It absolutely. I mean, it has been an issue here. I'm just wondering whether that has cut through. I mean, you're obviously aware of it because you follow these things. But would the American public know about Elon Musk criticising Keir Starmer, criticising Nigel Farage, trying to interfere with our electoral process?
I think they know that if he can get his hands on anything, he'll do it. Whether he was specifically knows the difference between a Tory or Lib Dem or any of the other parties that you have, they don't know the specifics, but they do know he's a danger. They do know he's absolutely crazy for power, and I think he'll only be satisfied when he thinks he's the ruler of the world. He may be the richest man in the world, but it doesn't mean he is the president of the United States nor the prime minister. And I saw a lovely interview with our northern Prime Minister Trudeau, as I'm thinking, Truffaut is a wonderful director.
Yeah.
But I've met the Prime Minister, and I've met his father, Pierre Elliott Trudeau, and they are a whole other piece of wonderful work of gentlemen and statesmen, And, Trudeau just kind of like, I would say in the American vernacular, he just blew him off. But, it sticks to the MAGA people, to his disciples, as I've often called them with you, these people who've drunk the Kool-Aid, that anything that Trump says or does, they will fall for. But the Canadians aren't having it. They're a great country to the north, and they're not standing for it. As far as Iceland is going, Greenland. I spent a lot of time in Denmark. The most independent, wonderful people, very much involved in NATO, a strong NATO ally with the United Kingdom and America, and they are the ones who are in control of the huge continent, you could say, of Greenland, which is
it's gigantic, isn't it? It's a huge area, but not many people.
And in Scandinavia, it means Greenland, but it's Grönland, and it's massive, and they're not going to fall for any of that. But this is what Trump is setting himself up for, and to see him, and I'm sure you've seen it's probably all over the British TV and so on, the very moving funeral of our 39th president, Jimmy Carter, from the National Cathedral, which is very close to my home, very close to where I am right now. And we had the former presidents, George W. Bush and Bill Clinton, and of course, and Barack Obama, and then Trump was there, and he looked like a petulant little boy. He couldn't pay any attention. In fact, at one point, he fell asleep, and I feel for his wife. I don't know. I'm not getting involved in that.
What are your thoughts about Jimmy Carter? A lot of people obviously got memories and talk about his legacy. What are your thoughts about his presidency?
Jimmy Carter was a soulful man. Grew up in this very, very segregated South in Georgia, and a tiny little town called Plains. And he talks about how when he was a child, he played with only little black kids, and that's how he grew up. And he didn't have prejudice. And this is in a state, we're talking about the Lester Maddox was the governor before Jimmy Carter, and we had the Ku Klux Klan, and we had burning of crosses, and this was the solid South, and it's not like that anymore, thank God. It's very, very enlightened. But Jimmy Carter, who lived 100 years, was really very much in tune with the human nature, of loving human nature. And he would say the best thing you can do is love your God and love the person who is standing in front of you. And that's very humble and very, very, very humble. And after the presidency, which he had some problems in his presidency, of course, Trump said that he lost because he gave away the Panama Canal. This is during his funeral. I mean, can you imagine? But we won't give away that. The Panama Canal was agreed to by Congress, etc. But the fact is that he had a great feel for the world, and he went off and did Habitat for the Humanity, and he went off and tried to defeat diseases all over the world. He oversaw elections. He oversaw the validity of elections, and he and his wonderful